Today is a very special Sabbath. It's called Connections Sabbath. And the reason why we're doing this today is because about almost a year ago now, back in we started a small group here at our church. We call it Connections Cafe. And because many people in this church live really far away from here, it takes a long time to get here, an evening for a small group doesn't really work very well for us. So we decided to try doing Sabbath morning before Sabbath school. And so we meet at 8 o'clock in the morning, brave souls, get up early, and we meet at the building that's over there. We call it the Pathfinder, or the Community Service Building. We've been doing this for almost a year, like I said, and today we are kind of featuring some of the things that we do. We want to share some of that stuff with you, and we've been graciously given the time, thank you, Pastor, for that, so that we can share some of the things that we're doing. So to tell you a little bit more about that, these people that are behind me are part of the Connections Cafe. There are more of you out there. See you, and they're, also people that come every week. But I'd like to ask first, Miss Dolores, if you would tell us a little bit about kind of generally what we do, tell these wonderful people about Connections Cafe.
Okay. And I'm going to stay seated because this is what we do. We sit and we talk and we discuss and share. So, and sing. We love to sing. The reason for the connections, and I try to make it as brief as possible, is to help us to fulfill the mission of the church. Now, I don't know if you know the mission or memorized it. I haven't. I just look at it periodically. The mission of our church is to be a light in our community by extending Christ's grace through unconditional love, outreach, and service. That's our church's mission. The mission for the Connection Cafe, or Cafe Connections, is to connect, serve, and share the love of Christ with our community. Does that sound like we are following the mission of our church? In our meetings, we have tried with the Lord's help to do this. It does not matter the age. In fact, I was hoping some of our younger ones could be here this morning, but they're sick. And so we don't have an age limit here. And I'm saying that because we want you to join us. We have from, a kindergarten age? 7. Yes. And right on up to my age, okay? Anna June. Yes. So we are inviting you to come and join us. And some of the other things will be shared by others in the program this morning. But you see, our mission, connect. We want to outreach and reach out to others in the community.
Thank you, Ms. Dolores. So one of the things that, as Ms. Dolores mentioned, that's really cool about what we do is that when you see everybody sitting around and we're singing and doing what we do, which you'll find out later, we have KK and Cynthia, who are like 7 years old. We have David, we have Parker, we have these guys, we have Miss Etta June, like this whole, huge age span, and we're all working on these things together and nobody gets left out, and it's wonderful. So it's definitely a place where you can feel like you can belong. And I know it's early on Sabbath morning, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it. So it would be really great to have more of you there if you could join us. We also, part of the mission was to put together some projects that we could, reach out to the community so that people would know that, hey, the Charleston Seventh-day Adventist Church is here. Do you know how many people drive by here every day and don't know that we're here, that this is us? So we wanted to raise the awareness in the community of our church. So we've been working on some projects along the way here, and I'm going to ask Crystal here to tell you a little bit about one of them in particular.
We've been serving the fire department just a few blocks down, or one block.
Hold this right.
And we just serve them a meal about once a month. And there's 3 of them that they'll rotate, but 3 are there all the time, but there's a total of, I think, like 12. So each time we see a different faces. This last time we did see, or this woman, she mentioned that her mom or grandma used to come to this to bring her to this church. And so there's becoming more of a connection. And first of all, we're just sharing our appreciation to them for what they do to the community. And then we'll see where it goes. We know the connection will become stronger, and just leave it in God's hands. So, but we serve them food. They appreciate any kind of food. So, but yeah.
So if you want to get involved in a project, even though if you don't want to get up early on Sabbath morning, you can see Crystal and talk to her about how you can contribute to that and feed the firemen. The school actually helped us out a little bit with that too, right over here. And one day Mr. Lee had the kids make cards for the firemen, so we were able to take those over there with the food, and they're just really appreciative, and now they know who we are, so it's kind of cool. We also do some things that have to do with music. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I grew up in a nursing home, strange little fact, but part of the things that we do with our music is we're trying to go out to the nursing home out here in our communities. Since I grew up in a nursing home, that's kind of my avenue, and I just want to be able to reach out to the older folk in our generation. There's already a ministry going on over there, and I thought I'd help them out. They have Bible studies at this one location, and I just want to go where they are, because I know that when I used to play for the folks at my home, the nursing home that I grew up in, they would like it. And I did it throughout college and through high school, and it's sad to see that sometimes we're the only connection they have to the outside world, and I want to kind of change that. You know, nursing homes and assisted living facilities are not fun places, but they don't have to be. They don't have to be a place of sadness and woe. And there's already people from our church going over there. I thought, you know what, let me help them out. They're doing Bible studies. I'm going to go sing to them. And today, this afternoon at 2:30, we're going over there. So we're going to leave around here at 2:15, meet here in the parking lot, and make our way towards Ashley River Plantations. And they love it. We've done it once before, and we had a great crowd. My worry is that maybe 1 or 2 residents would show up, and they'd be like, that's it? And they go back to their rooms. But no, they love it. And they just love seeing people come and sing. No matter what we do. I made a couple mistakes, and I was off a bit, but they said, you know what, it brightened their day, and even just showing up helps them out, and I'd encourage you to come join us today.
So do I have to be a good singer to do that?
No, you actually don't. You can just show up, and
Just come,
and
right?
even what I like to do is sing a little bit, and I like to meet with them and talk with them, and that's where if you don't sing and you want to meet with these people, just even that communication really helps them. Because sometimes that's all the connection they'll get. And I don't want that to be the only thing. I want us to not be a weekly thing, but I'm going to try and make it more often so that they can not feel left out of this world, not feel disconnected.
So this is one of the opportunities that we have going today, that if you would like to join this group of people that are going to sing at a nursing home, sing and interact with them, maybe pray with them, if that opportunity comes. Today, actually at 2:15, meet in the lobby, and they'll take off at 2:30. It's not very long. We go over there for what, like an hour?
At the most.
And then you'll come back here. So that's another opportunity. Well, as I've mentioned, I'm not the pastor. And there's nothing like preaching a sermon in front of the pastor. So can we not call this a sermon, please? I'm just going to talk to you, just like I talk to them on Saturday mornings. Because if anybody would have told me, guess what? You're going to be preaching a sermon on, what's today? February 23rd. Not in a million years. And anybody who's known me for a really long time would have been like, not her. But I will say this. Be careful when you ask the Lord to use you. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, you have brought us to this place. You've brought these people here. You've brought us all together. And there's a purpose for this today. And I pray that you will serve your purpose in us and may the words that come out of my mouth be yours and your message to all of us here today. In Jesus' name, amen. Who here, you have to be brave and vulnerable with me now. I'm being vulnerable with you, so come on. Who here likes to be interrupted? Nobody? Nobody likes to be interrupted. Like you're going somewhere and somebody stops you, or you're trying to tell somebody something, or you're saying something and somebody interrupts you. Nobody likes to be interrupted. Who kind of, sort of likes to be interrupted? It's okay once in a while. Once in a while? Okay. Yeah, those are the extroverts. It's okay to be yes. Who here cannot stand to be interrupted? Be brave. Oh, don't interrupt me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a middle school band director, so I teach middle school kids all day long, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They're teenagers, and they interrupt you all the time. So, of course, yeah, I use that teacher voice sometimes outside the classroom, too. It's like you forget that you're not a teacher after 3 o'clock. But yeah, I don't like to be interrupted. I can't really stand it. So let me tell you something. A few Sundays ago, I went out. I was trying to get a whole bunch of things done in a really short amount of time. I went to the store. I went to pick something up really quick. I was like, I'm going to just zip in here and get out and go on my way, right? And I went to the cash register to check out, and there was a man right in front of me, really fine dressed gentleman. He probably had just come from church. And we're waiting in line, and there was a holdup at the cash register. And the manager gets called over, like 3 people in front of us. Don't you hate that? Why did I pick this line? But then there's no other lines open because it was Office Depot, and they had like 2 cash registers. So, you're stuck there, and I'm like, I gotta go, yeah. So this man standing in front of me turns around and looks at me. And I was horrified. Like, why are you turning and looking at me? He starts talking to me. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a closet introvert. I know I'm standing here in front of you today, but I'm a closet introvert. And this man turned around and started talking to me, making small talk. And that's just horrifying. I don't make small talk with people. So he's looking down at me, and he's like, because he was tall. He's looking down at me, and he's trying to talk to me, and, just, hi, how are you? How's your day? And I'm just like, ugh. Inside, I'm smiling, and inside I'm like, turn around. Don't talk to me, you're a stranger. So, he made small talk for a minute, and then somehow the conversation turned to church, because he had just come from church. He was all dressed up. And, this would have been horrifying enough that he was talking to me, but I was in a hurry, if you remember that detail. I'm like, man, I gotta go. So the gentleman asked me if I go to church. And I said, yes, I go to the Charleston Seventh-day Adventist Church. And most people are like, yeah, whatever. What church is that? He said, is that the one over there on Savannah Highway? I know exactly where that is. And I went, you do? I mean, wow. Not many people seem to know who we are, right? Not even people right here in our own neighborhood know that we're here. So we talked a little bit about this church, and he told me that when he was a child, that he knows about Seventh-day Adventists because when he was a child, his grandmother was a Seventh-day Adventist, and he would come to church with her. Not here, but he kind of grew up Seventh-day Adventist, as a kid. So we're sitting here having this conversation, and all of a sudden, now I'm interested, okay? Because, we introverts, don't do small talk, but tell me something deep like that, and we'll have a conversation with you. And how many of you feel what I'm saying right there? Yes, yeah. So we're talking, and by the time that we finally both got through the checkout line, because we ended up talking like all the way out the door, right? I felt really blessed by this man, and I hope he was blessed by the conversation too. But I thought, man, that interruption was amazing, right? I could have just gone on my way, I'm in a hurry, I don't want to talk to you, let me go to this other cash register, or let me just leave, or whatever. But it was a real blessing to be interrupted, and I think we blessed each other, and not just because he grew up Seventh-day Adventist or whatever, but just, it was we made a connection, and it was a welcome interruption after a while. Have you ever been so rudely interrupted when you're trying to get something done? How have you reacted? I can't say I've always reacted this way. I was held captive because I needed that ream of paper or or whatever. But you know, like how many times do we not take advantage of these interruptions and have a conversation with somebody because we're in a hurry or because we're an introvert and we don't talk to people? You know, and I think that maybe we need to think about that and the opportunities that present themselves in front of us. Take a look for a moment with me at some moments of interruption in the Bible. Now, I'm going to go through these verses really fast, so you're not going to have time to look them up because this is not going to be a sermon. This is a sermonette, and it's almost done. So if you want to write some verses down, that's cool. If not, I can give you a copy of these verses later. That's fine. But if you're looking them up, we're just going to hear that Bible noise sound like a lot. So you know what I'm talking about. Yes. So I'm just going to go. You ready? Yes? All right. So in Matthew, these are all from Matthew, by the way. So if you want to know what they are, just read the book of Matthew, okay? So Matthew chapter 5, verse 1, right. It says, "Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down." So he saw these crowds, right? He wasn't looking for them. He wasn't asking for people to come. He saw the crowds, and then he sat down, and his disciples came to him, and then he began teaching them. In Matthew chapter 5, do you know what came from that moment? What did he teach them at that point? The Beatitudes and all of that, you know, all the teachings in that. Yes, right? So he saw these crowds, the disciples came, he said, let me talk to these people, let me preach to them, let me do this. And he took an opportunity to do that, okay? Maybe he had that planned in his mind, I don't know. But let's look at another one. Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 through 3. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man came with leprosy and knelt before him. What an interruption. Think about that. Large crowds are following you, and here comes a man with leprosy right in front of you. They're not even supposed to be near you. And he was interrupted by this man. What did he do? He healed him. He took up the opportunity, and he healed him. Matthew 8, verses 5 through 8. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, asking for help. "Lord, my servant lies at home paralyzed, suffering terribly." Another interruption. What did Jesus do? He healed the servant, right? He even said, Jesus said, "Shall I come and heal him? Should I stop what I'm doing and go with you?" And the centurion was like, no, just do it. I believe, right? So he did it. Matthew 8:14. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law. Jesus went over to his friend's house. He saw his mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. What did he do? He healed her. He didn't go there to heal her. He didn't even know she was sick. Another interruption. Matthew 8:16. When evening came, there at Peter's house, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him. You go over to your friend's house to chill out, and look what happens. Another interruption. What did Jesus do? He healed them, right? Matthew 8, verses 28 and 29, when he arrived at the other side of the region of the, I don't know how to say this word, Gadarenes, did I say it right? Okay. 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. Imagine that interruption. You're walking by a graveyard and 2 demon-possessed men come running at you. I mean, come on, think about that. What would you do? Run. What did Jesus do? He healed them, right? He took all those demons out of them and he put them into the pigs, and you know that story. If you don't know that story, read it in Matthew. So Matthew 9, verse 2, Jesus stepped into a boat, crossed over, and came to his own town. Some men brought to him a paralyzed man. Jesus was going home, maybe to get some rest. I don't know. Somebody brought him a paralyzed man. What did he do? Healed him. Matthew 9:18. While he was saying this, a synagogue leader came and knelt before him. He's in the synagogue. He's preaching. And a synagogue leader came and knelt right before him and said, "My daughter has just died." What did Jesus do? Raised her from the dead. Matthew 9:20. Just then, a woman who had been, he's on his way to the house of the man who said, "My daughter's died." And on his way there, a woman who's been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. What did Jesus do? Right. So are you seeing a trend here? There's like every time he gets interrupted, he doesn't like rebuke people. Man, leave me alone. I'm on my way to this man's house to raise his daughter from the dead. Why are you interrupting me? Right? He took advantage of these things. The Pharisees were plotting to kill Jesus, and in Matthew 12:15, Jesus withdrew from that place, and a large crowd followed him, and he healed all who were ill in that crowd. He's trying to get away because somebody's trying to kill him, and yet he's still taking the time to heal these people. When the beloved John was beheaded, in chapter 14 of Matthew, Jesus heard what happened, and he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. He wanted to mourn this, you know? Think about that. Somebody passed away that you love, and he wanted to just get away and just be, right? Hearing of this, of where Jesus went, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns, and when Jesus landed on the boat and saw a large crowd, he told them, "Go away, I'm sad, I need to mourn John's death," right? No. He had compassion on them and healed their sick. And you know, these stories go on and on and on, and I told you this is not a sermon, so I'm not going to keep going too much here, but even like in Matthew 19, verses 13 through 15, people were bringing him children, you know, bless my child, all these children, right? And the disciples were like, get these kids away. What did he say? Let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. And in Matthew 20, verses 29 to 30, Jesus and his disciples were leaving Jericho. A large crowd followed him. Are you seeing a trend there with the large crowd followed him? He always had crowds following him. 2 blind men sitting on the roadside. "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." They didn't whisper it. They were so loud that people were like, "Shh." What did he do? He healed them. See, almost the entire ministry that Jesus served on this earth, when he interacted with others, was based on interruption. And you know, he was going here and he was stopped by a leper. He was going there and was stopped by a woman. He was trying to get away and grieve and he was stopped by crowds. Every time Jesus was heading somewhere, he was interrupted. And yet he used the opportunity to serve in any way that he could. And this is where I get to the title of my talk. So, an inconvenient faith. I have introverted in my head. An inconvenient faith. Do you think it was inconvenient for Jesus to do all those things? I mean, it wasn't what he set out to do all the time, but he was interrupted. It's inconvenient to be interrupted. How many of you would agree that we were meant to be like Jesus and follow his example on earth? Be brave. You believe that? Okay. So Jesus came to set an example for us on how we should live. And although we are not sinless as he was, we can follow his way of being and emulate his character as much as possible. So if that's the case, it seems like we should be open to interruptions in our lives and turn them into opportunities to serve, bless, and show God's love, right? Seems like a rather inconvenient way to live. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've got places to go, things to do, people to see. Like, I'm a busy person. Even here at church, after church, you all want to talk, people want to talk to me. Wait, hold on, I got to talk to this person. I got to catch this person. That's me, right? But we are called to follow Jesus. And his example shows us that we are here to serve even through the inconvenient moments in our lives. So today I have a challenge. Uh-oh, here she goes. A commission for all of us. Are you ready for this? Now, this is inconvenient. I'm not going to lie to you. Your first reaction may be that you're not going to do this. I want you to give it some serious thought and prayer, though, over the next few minutes here as I'm talking to you, and I'm serious about this, okay? I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to ask you to do. We're all us too. And I guarantee you, many of you, your first thought is going to be, I'm not doing that. Open your mind, okay? This is a little red bag. See it? Okay. Inside this little red bag, there's some candy. Oh, that's not so bad, Denise. We can do candy. That's fine. There's candy. I'm not going to bring it out because somebody's going to want it. Also, there's a little track in here. It's called A Love Letter to Jesus. If you've never read this one, it's actually really nice. You should check it out. What else is in here? There's a thing, a flyer. It says, wishing you a super sweet day. And on this flyer, it says, we're here for you, Charleston Seventh-day Adventist Church. And it has the address and phone number and website and when our services are. Cool? I see some of you nodding. There's a chili cook-off tonight. If you're a visitor, you should stay. It's at 6:30. There's a flyer about that, an invitation to come to the chili cook-off. It's pretty cool, right? Are you ready for this? We have 200 of these here today. Your task, should you choose to accept it, and I would hope that you would, is to help us distribute these bags in the surrounding church neighborhood. But Denise, I'm a visitor here. I'm not going to need to do that. Oh, no. Hang on. I'm not talking about sometime in the future or later this afternoon or even just whenever you get a chance. Or I'll just take it home and give it to my neighbor. I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now. Like in a few minutes. Yes, I said that. Like, we're going to ask you to go out there to this neighborhood right here and knock on a door and give this to the person who answers. You could say who you are. You could say, I'm Denise. I go to the Seventh-day Adventist Church right over here. We're right in your neighborhood. You may not know who we are. And I just wanted you to have a great day. Here's a bag for you. By the way, is there something I could pray about with you? If not, that's cool. Okay, great. Or if there's no answer, we got these kind of bags so you can hang it on their doorknob or whatever. Don't leave this in the mailbox because that's illegal. We don't want anybody arrested. And don't leave it on the curb or, outside on the ground because that's littering. Okay? But you could ask if you could pray with them or whatever. That's fine. You don't have to. If you don't like talking to people, that's okay. You can just give it to them and run. No, don't run. And then I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. I know some of you are still kind of like, what is she talking about? Don't worry. And then after you've done this, then we're going to ask you to come back here, right here, and tell us about your experience. Now listen, you may not have anything to say. You may be like, oh, I gave it to this lady and she was fine, whatever. And somebody might have something really cool to say. Man, this lady just broke down and she started telling me all this and that. You don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen. Neither do I. So we're going to ask you to come back here and tell us. And because it's right there in the neighborhood, it's not going to take you too long to go out there, knock on a door, and come back. Even you visitors who are looking at me like, this woman is crazy. So to give you a little demonstration of what we would like for you to do, and I said we have 200 of these bags, and there's not 200 families here, so maybe you could take 2 or 3 and visit 2 or 3 homes. I'm going to ask Mr. Thomas here to come up. We're going to demonstrate this for you. 2 different scenarios, okay? Mr. Thomas is home watching football or something. Football season's over, isn't it? He's whatever. In his old T-shirt, he doesn't want to answer the door. Right. But
yeah.
this is the yes.
Well, hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing? My name is Denise.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Tom?
Hi, Tom. Nice to meet you. I go to the Charleston Seventh-day Adventist Church that's right here in your neighborhood. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's right there off Savannah Highway.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's that that brown thing out there?
It's the Brown Church, yes.
Okay.
And there's like a little school right next to it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, in our church today, we're just kind of going out in the community and just handing out some sweet bags here.
Hey, what do
just-
we got
We
here?
want you to have a sweet day, you know.
Thank
so
you.
just wanted you to have that, and
Okay.
wish you well. We're here for you if you ever need anything. And
Uh-huh.
is there anything that I could pray for you, pray with you if you'd like?
I tell you what. I don't want you to pray right now, but when you go home, in your prayer time, remember me, okay?
I sure will, Tom. I really think that's perfect. I'll be glad to put you on my prayer list.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
You too. Thanks. Was that hard? It might be. You know what the hardest part about that would be for somebody like me? This. That part. Right? Okay, watch this. This could happen to you.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm Denise.
Yeah, who you?
I'm Denise.
Okay.
I'm from the Charleston Seventh-day Adventist Church.
So why are you from there? I don't want any. Whatever it is, I don't want it.
Oh, it's okay. Well, we're just.
I'm not buying anything, okay?
Oh, we're not selling anything, sir. Not at all. We just wanted you to have a sweet day. Just wanted you to have this
For
bag.
what?
It just has some sweet things in it for you. It's free. It's all yours. Everything in there is for you. You're welcome to keep it, or you can throw it away or give it to somebody else. But yeah, so my name's Denise. I'm from the church right over here, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I just wanted you to know I'll be praying for you, sir. Just, is there anything that you'd like for me to pray about?
No.
All right, no problem, no problem. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. He's good at that. Woo! He's really good at that. And you know what? There may be some really cranky people out there. That's okay. Just smile. So like I said, we have 200 of these bags, and we would love it if you took maybe 2 or 3 of them, maybe 4, whatever, you're feeling ambitious, and you stop at a couple of homes over here, and we ask that you go in groups of 2 or 3. Listen, if you go in as a mob, that's kind of scary to people, right? Like, don't go like 7, 8, 10 people. Oh, we're here from the Charleston Church. Here's some bags for you. Give this to your friends. No, we're not doing that. And we also ask that you don't go alone, because obviously that's could be dangerous. Don't go by yourself. If you're here by yourself, and you grab somebody and go together, right? If you don't get an answer, we'll leave it up to you. You can either leave the bag hanging on their doorknob, but like I said, don't put it in their mailbox, because that's not right. And don't leave it laying around in the yard. We got these kind of bags so you can hang it on a doorknob if it fits, okay? Or you could just try another house. It's up to you. Here's another note. We know that you're nicely dressed here for church, okay? If you'd rather change your clothes, because we did send out an announcement that we had some activities going on today, if you want to bring some more comfortable clothes, that is true. But if you wanted to change sooner, ladies, if you're in heels and you want to wear whatever, take the time to do that before you go out. Just do it quickly. If you're wearing a suit jacket, guys, you look great. Or if you're wearing a tie, you look amazing. But if you walk up to a door with a tie on or something like that, people might be like, who is that? And they may not even answer it. So you might want to consider just taking off the tie or the coat. I'm just saying, it's up to you. You look great. You can put it back on when you come in here if you want to. But just something to consider. Just maybe casualizing yourself a little bit.
Denise, excuse me, with the tie and the coat, you know who they are going to think you are.
Yes.
JW. So, take off the tie at least.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And you know what? The next sentence that I wrote down here was, we might be confused for being a Jehovah's Witness. It's okay. We are who we are. That's fine. God blesses either way. So here's what we have for you. We have the bags, because you're going to be like, well, how do I know where to go? We have these maps that are drawn out, and the maps that you get are going to have one street highlighted. And we're going to ask that you just go to that street. Just pick some houses on that street. They have different streets highlighted, so we're not all in the same place. And if you see a car parked in front of a house and you see people there, go to the next one. You know what I mean? So everybody's going to get one of these maps. And then you're also going to get this thing that I threw on the floor. maps. Oh, a script. So let's say that you're shy and you don't know what to say. You get tongue-tied. So we have this little script for you, and all you have to do is just kind of read it, like I've read today's sermon. Hello, we are so-and-so from the, don't say so-and-so, from the Charleston Seventh-day Adventist Church, blah, blah, blah. And then on the script, we have a yes. If they say yes, that they'd like for you to pray for them, then follow that part. If there's a no, like if they don't want you to, then just say, okay, well, then just, and then follow that part of the script. And then just say thank you and go. So we even tell you the words to say if you don't know what to do. We also have for you, please don't put this out in the community, an itinerary of the day's activities, because we did say that there were some things that we were planning for the day, and we want you to know what those things are. So you'll get one of those today. So here's what we'd like for you to do. And I'm serious about this. This is really important. When you do this, come back here, right here, and tell us about, we're going to have a time where you can tell us about your experiences. Just a brief time. It's not going to be another hour or anything like that. And then some of you may have, like, you know, a lot to share, and then you can come back later in the afternoon if you'd like and share some more with us, because here's what's going to happen. At 2:30, we have two options for you. We mentioned one earlier, the nursing home visit, 2:15 actually, meet in the lobby. So we're going to come back here, share our stories, then we're going to go eat. There's potluck visitors, lots of great food. We're going to eat, and then after potluck, we're going to meet here if you want to go to the nursing home. If you don't want to go to the nursing home, you want to stick around, we're going to share with you one of the sermons that we heard at Evangelism Impact a couple of weeks ago, because we were there, and we loved it, and we want to share one of the sermons that we heard with you. So we're going to play a video of a sermon. So if you really want a sermon today, you can hear that one. And then after that sermon, we're going to have a time of praise and testimony. We're going to sing some songs. We're going to pray later this afternoon. And then there's going to be a Vespers program at 5:30, and then the chili cook-off at 6:30. So when we say we have a day of activities, we weren't kidding. So that's all on the itinerary that you're going to get. So in a few minutes, I'm going to ask you, not now, don't all rush me at once, okay? I'm going to ask you to come to the front, and we're going to have an orderly way that you're going to come up and pick up these materials in these bags, okay? We're going to have everything laid out for you on this pew. Not that one, this one. So we're going to ask you to go around that way, come up that side aisle, pick up your stuff, and then go down this way, okay, so that we're not all running into each other. And then after we're all done with like dismissing and all that, if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, or you're still kind of in a fog because you're like, what? Is she really asking us to do this? Please ask one of our Connections Cafe people, and we'll help you to figure this out. I do want to say this. If you're really not feeling this, like you're really not feeling like this is your thing, or maybe you have some health issues and just walking a few yards is a little difficult for you, then we're going to ask that you do this. There will be some people who will be of us who are going to be here. And after everyone's gone, we're going to have a very special time of prayer. And we are going to pray for the people who are receiving these bags, and we're going to pray for those of you who are giving these bags.
Well, Lord, here we are. We want to be your servant. We want to be used by you. We need you to give us some courage and some strength, some knowledge. And we need you to be with us, Lord. We need you to let us know you're here for us so that we can do what you ask us to do. Lord, help us to forget about our convenience and do the things that you want us to do. You know, on the cross, you weren't thinking about your convenience. You were thinking about us. You were thinking about how you can rescue us from that devil. Lord, help us to carry on your work. Help us to, maybe this might be of the 200 people, 200 bags, maybe just one person might be interested. But I think, and I know you believe that it'll be worth it. So Lord, help us to dedicate ourselves today to doing just this one thing, allowing us to be your servant, to be used by you today, to do whatever it seems right to do. And we thank you, Lord, so much be with us throughout this day and throughout this time. Amen.